Hey y'all, I'm Mike, the RV inspector and technician,
And I'm Elizabeth. I'm the wife of the RV inspector and technician.
and welcome to our podcast. Oh, hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Mike.
Welcome everybody back to the Cozy Camper podcast at the new Cozy Camper studio.
Headquarters is what
Global headquarters.
International
Yeah,
headquarters.
For those that are following closely with us, this is a Brinkley Model Z Air 295, which we've just purchased and moved into.
Yes. And we've been holding off on doing the podcast because obviously we didn't want to give it away. But we're back.
It has been like a shockingly difficult challenge to not make content here and like try and hide it.
Yes.
You actually spilled the beans once. You made a video, like a story about something, and I was like doing
Not just about something, about being employee of the month.
That's right. You did make that. You were filming it right over there, which is
Yes.
the kitchen.
And I unintentionally leaked. But only those who were like closely following.
And we had a couple people
Caught
reach
it.
out and be like, "Hey, man, like I know you're trying to be like secretive, but I know it's Brinkley."
Well, also to be fair, the very first tease you did was the bee.
That's true.
And anyone who knows RVs knows that bee is Brinkley. You wrote like big things coming with the bee from the Brinkley.
We
So-
did not do well, and this is what happened. Sam from the Titans was like, "Oh, you can, you should string it out so that you're kind of like building some suspense." And I was like, "Sweet," but I had already made the bee post,
Yeah.
so the cat was out of the bag a little bit.
Well, I'm just saying, like, we're both a little bit to blame that.
Yeah,
I think it worked out just
I
fine.
hear what you're saying, and I'm just hiding this screen so we're not looking at us.
I couldn't not make that video. I suppose I could have gone outside, but when you feel it, like when I make videos, it's because I'm feeling something in the moment. I have a hard time planning to make a video. If I feel it in the moment, I feel confident, I feel like it needs to be done, it's easier for me.
That's
So
like
I
content.
just kind of picked up the phone and did it
Yeah.
because it felt right.
That's like content creator 101 is don't make the content, be the content. So when you're like, oh, like this is happening, like for when I do inspections, like the content kind of writes itself,
Right.
and you have to sort of, you have to be receptive to that.
Yeah.
But, honey, viewers, can we turn off the AC because it's like blowing straight on my mic? Do you have the remote for it?
It's in the couch.
Stand by, everybody. Okay, we're back.
Are you better?
I'm way better now. It was
Okay.
shooting. This thing has like amazing air conditioners, and it was shooting like right into my microphone, so I could hear it. And now it's going to be that much harder to edit the first 2 minutes and 59 seconds when we get back.
I believe in you.
See, that's the face you make when you're like, you're full of it.
Just saying, I didn't hear it on my mic is all.
And you know, with regard to the reveal of this video, we posted like a teaser where we said, "Hey, we're done with full-time. Don't cheat.
Oh, sorry.
Don't cheat. We're done with full-time RV life." And that was the joke. And then we said, "No, we're just done with our RV." And that video did really well. It had like I think 160,000 views, that's a really good video for us. And like 100,000 is kind of my success mark, where I'm like, sweet, this was a good one. We're
Yeah.
kind of usually trapped in like 10 to 50,000 views, but in any case,
Which is not.
it's still
nothing.
great. But this one got 150,000 views, and there was a lot of like people making suggestions by this, and it was generally pretty helpful. Which actually, I didn't even tell you. One of the commenters, not realizing who we were, was the old instructor from the RV inspector program.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. There's a husband-wife team that did it, and it was the wife commented on it, and I was like, oh,
Nice.
she doesn't know who we are. That's funny. She forgot us. But yeah, so we got a lot of comments like that. We also caught a lot of negative comments, and we're just gonna quickly play. Elizabeth reacts to mean comments.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is on Facebook from Blair Brzezinski. He says, Facebook needs a quick block feature for Reels so you can block the shitty ones.
That doesn't feel necessary to say.
And
Just
do you know what else he did?
what?
He blocked us.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Get out of here, Blair.
Man knows what he doesn't like. Robert Costello says, get one with a foundation and 2,000 square feet. Just buy a house.
Okay. It's not too mean, just his opinion.
Al Williams said, don't care.
Okay.
Now, again, we've said this before. When you go in, when you don't like something and you comment on it, you're amplifying the message
Right.
because the algorithm reacts to it. So it's like, okay, Al, you don't care,
Just
but
skip it.
you cared enough to answer. That helped me. So thank you, Al.
Gosh, these people, man.
All right, now that you're gonna love this one. This is from Kathy
jeez.
Worth. They smiling so much, I thought they were going to say they're going to the lawyer for a divorce. You're therefore will permanently smile.
Wow. Kathy, I'm sorry for whatever you've gone through.
It's not done.
It's not done?
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
I
gosh.
said, I thought it was like a joke. And so I said, I am pleased to report that we are still happily married. To which she said, well, good for you. I'm sorry you've never discovered true happiness.
Oh my goodness. Dang.
Kathy is going through some things.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Kathy.
Cynthia Rudolph said, maybe get a job.
To me or you?
Just generally.
Ah.
Now I replied to that one. I said, you didn't know anything about this page before you commented. 'Cause this page is our job. But all right, Leaf Gordon. Somebody else who probably wasn't aware of who they were commenting on said, blocked. Do your own research.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Do your own research. We are, obviously. Or did.
Yeah.
my gosh.
Greg Janisek. No one cares.
What's with all these people, like, just trying to hurt feelings?
All right, here's Connie Forwood. Why are you asking strangers on Facebook about your home? Can't you make a decision on your own? You seem kind of dumb.
Oh my god. Jeez. These are terrible.
Some of the comments we get, and like we post the most innocuous things. Some of the comments we get as
So
we grow.
mean. This is why I don't really read the comments.
No, but I answer all of them.
You do, but I
Yeah.
don't really look at any of them.
But sometimes I'll just be like, oh, dang, that's crazy. Here's another one. Buy a house instead, then buy a camper for camping on the weekends. You're welcome.
Okay. Opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad advice.
Yeah.
It's not what we're doing. But
No, that's not what
not
we're going to
terrible.
do. But
at least no one called me a Karen this time.
no.
That's
Yeah, that
nice.
last one was brutal.
Yeah, this wasn't great, but yeah.
No, I don't. I've said it before. I don't fully understand the way people conduct themselves
Yeah.
on the internet. It's
Man, keyboard warriors, right?
they get torqued.
So I can't imagine a world where I go on a reel. Like I watch a ton of reels,
Could you imagine though walking
but
up
I
to
never comment unless it's something positive, like ever.
Right. Well, let's imagine we're at a party and you've just met someone and you're like, hey, tell me something interesting about you. And they're like, well, actually, I'm a full-time RVer and we're shopping for a new one. Do you know anything about it? And they looked at you and said, don't care.
Do your own research.
Do your own research. And then they walked away. Like, all right, well, maybe you get punched in the throat when you say something like that. So we've lost all manner of civility.
Seriously, man.
Yes. But
Remind me why we're doing social media again?
that is that is an excellent question that I think about all the time.
Yes.
We are, and we've been discussing this. We talked a while about this. So right now, literally while we're filming this, the content creator meetup is going on at the Florida RV Super Show, and no shame on like folks that go there. And I'm not saying we would never go,
Yeah.
but it's kind of not my scene.
Yeah, it's just not our thing.
Like, I'm stoked that everybody is out there doing it, but it's
Yeah.
like, for us, it was like, what are we gonna spend $5,000-$6,000 to go to Florida to go to this thing, and like, what's to be gained
Yeah.
from it? It's like if we want to go tour RVs, there's a San Antonio RV show.
Well, I think the part that sets us apart is our content comes from our work most of the time.
That's right. Yeah, we're not like, we don't have to like kind of create it. Like I touch 10 different RVs a week, so I can just make content while we're there. But
Right. It's more so like real life content.
yes.
Does that make sense?
Plus I'm just a guy who fixes RVs, and I see like our friends that are there, like, oh, come see us at our meet and greet and stuff, and like that, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I don't.
We don't mind meeting people kind of like genuinely or what would you call it? Like out
We've met a number of
naturally, like just naturally. Like I think that's really cool. It's still very weird, but I think it's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I'm
When we meet people
the
organically,
formal meet and greet.
yeah, it's
feels-
totally cool when we meet people like out like
Yeah.
and it's happening more particularly when we were in an RV park. You
Or
know,
when you do an inspection for someone who found us on
Right.
social media,
they
that's
know who
kind
we
of
are,
cool.
or they know who we are and they
Um,
call and they talk to you. Totally cool. There's something I don't know how to be like. Something about like, hey, people have like maybe even paid to come see me personally and like shake my. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
Like that's I'm not.
I think it's cool if people are at that point and it's for them and it helps them. But
Right. I just it's
for us right now,
I don't
it's
know.
not where
Yeah.
we're at.
And you know, I'm also aware that perhaps I have a bit of an ego, and it's like I don't want to. I can't dive into that yet, right?
No.
Like, cause if it goes to my head, I'm done, right?
I think you'd be okay.
No, I'm like that rock star in like the biopic, right? That like was on top of the world and then got a bad manager and made some bad deals.
Sabotaged
Yeah,
himself.
sabotaged himself. So, we're not gonna bark
You
up
have
that
me,
path.
so it's okay.
Thank the Lord, I have you. That's for sure.
Employee of the month, December, everybody. Just not to toot my own horn. But
You
I just
were
wanna
the
make sure
employee of the
I
month.
Throw that in there.
I thought, speaking of RV shows, because we just went to San Antonio
We did.
and we're about to go to Austin. At Austin, we're actually going to have a few presentations. We might actually do one of these sort of live on the floor there. We're still working that out, but we are going to do some presentations for sure. We had an interesting experience at the San Antonio one.
We did.
Yeah. And so I just want to be clear that we were not there to work.
No.
We did not have a table. Like we weren't there in any official capacity. We just drove up there on Sunday because we thought it'd be cool to hang out.
Right.
So just there was not.
Yeah.
I think we all had on Cozy Camper like shirts.
Yeah.
You did, I did, and that's going to be important in a minute. But we were not there to work. We
Yeah.
were just there to visit.
Right.
And I'm going to ask you to tell me what happened. And I'm going to just start by saying that we walked in the front door, and right at the front door is the National RV Training Academy's like table. I'm a graduate, so I walked up to the table and I saw the person sitting there, and I was like, "Hey, how are you? I'm a graduate," and we were just chatting.
Yes.
And Elizabeth, what happened next?
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a sales person from
I'm not going to say what
a
dealership.
large dealership here in Texas came up to Mike and tapped him on the shoulder, and the back of Mike's shirt said "worry-free camping" in big letters, and he was like, let me help you out. You want worry-free camping? Let me hook you up. Is basically what he, and Mike was like, tell me more. Like, let's hear it. And he starts to give him a little spiel about this offer they have right now, especially if you purchase from the RV show, how you could have a year of worry-free camping, blah, 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 blah. And Mike listened and was respectful and was genuinely trying to hear what he was saying. And then Mike says, okay, so say I'm interested in this and I want to move forward with this offer you have. Would you allow an inspector to come inspect the unit I choose? And then things sort of took a dark turn.
And you recorded over your shoulder. You walked away. You
I did.
recorded most of the interaction.
I don't love that I did this. I just want to throw that out there. It's very out of my comfort zone to record uncomfortable situations, which is why we also haven't posted it yet, because
I'm gonna
we're
edit
trying
it.
to find a way to do it where we're not, I'm not trying to be malicious by any means. It was too good of an interaction
Right.
to not kind of
Yes.
take
But-
advantage of and talk about and record a little bit.
And we
But
go to great lengths to not name dealerships
Yeah.
that act shady, right? Like
this was different.
This-
Not that we're going to name this
No.
dealership, but it was different. Like this guy, the tide turned. When you said, would you allow an inspector? All of a sudden it was like talking to a whole different person.
Yes.
Like fun and games over, and he was like ready to fight.
so this
Now you can tell the rest. 'Cause
yeah, so he said first he started off by telling us all the reasons inspectors were bad. And hey, they come out and they torpedo deals and there's ethical problem. They want to tell you the first RV is bad so they can sell you a second RV inspection somewhere else, and then I got to do this and that. And all of those things are violation of code of ethics. So, if those occurred, that should be reported to the association. But anyway, so he told me all these things, and then after he rambled for a minute, he was like, I think the two of you are inspectors. And it's like we're again standing at the NRVTA
wearing
table,
your
wearing my
Cozy
shirt
Camper
that says
shirt.
inspector. And the school that makes inspectors is right there.
Yes.
Not like across the hall, directly
Right next to us.
able to hear everything this dealer said. And he was a manager, a general manager
Yes.
for the location.
Which is even worse.
And so he went on and on about how much he hates inspectors and they tear
was-
things up.
He was angry.
He was cussing.
Yes.
He dropped a couple of F-bombs. And I just let it out.
Yes.
And if you don't know this about me, my first career was in law enforcement. I had a lot of training in crisis negotiation and mental health conversations. And so I just stood there. If you watch the video, you'll see that I'm in an interview stance. I've got my hands up like this.
He's not ready to fight.
Yeah, my right foot is dropped back because that's what I was trained to do.
Yeah.
And because that's what you do when you think someone's going to hit you.
He was aggressive.
He was
I
very.
walked away because I wanted to fight. My reaction was to jump in, and I was like, "No, Elizabeth, like this is not your place. Mike's going to handle it," and you did.
He closed the personal distance on me a couple times while we were talking.
He was heated.
He was heated, and I at this point had said basically nothing.
You did. You listened.
I
You were
just-
just staring at
I
him,
was
like
just
nodding.
nodding.
Yeah.
When it was finally my turn to talk, what did you hear me say?
I heard, I hear what you're saying. Let me see if I heard correctly. And then you repeated back to him what he had said. I heard you say, and you did all these things.
Almost verbatim.
Yes.
I repeated his argument back to him almost
It was
verbatim.
so calm. And I think that's when I decided to record. But he's clearly in fight stance, and
Yes.
you're relaxed, and you definitely de-escalated it. That's for sure. Again, there was another
That's
switch.
the word in the police biz.
Yeah, you de-escalated it, and he definitely kind of calmed down a little bit. But it was hard to watch.
It was hostile, and so so after he, and this in case you're ever in a negotiation or even if your spouse is mad at you, what I said was, sounds like you're feeling frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
I named his emotion for him, and then I said, this is what it sounds like you're saying, and I repeated this
Yeah.
sort of stuff back to him, and that's when he went, yeah, that is how I feel, right? And it was like a different person came out, right? And he was just so exasperated. And, and then I started to kind of like pick at some of his arguments, right? Where I was like, well, hey, you sounds like you're describing an ethical problem where if you think the inspector, and then again, we were standing in front of NRVTA. So I was like, if that is an issue, you should tell them
Yeah.
because they have the regulatory tools to deal with it.
You should know this woman from NRVTA is just sitting there like eating,
Eating
popcorn,
right?
like watching. And then when this exchange was over, she was horrified. She was like, I would never buy an RV from that place. How inappropriate. I can't wait to go back to, the school and tell them that I got to see it firsthand, because a lot of the inspectors come back and say like, hey,
this happens, but you don't ever
but you don't
see it.
see it. And she was like, I've never witnessed it. And she was horrified, as she should be.
Right.
I was horrified.
Yeah.
And
And-
I'm a little more familiar with it, but it was more aggressive than I think you or I have ever really
It
experienced.
was pretty bad. It was probably the worst interaction I've ever had with a dealership employee. And the thing is like they were talking to us about these sales. And in our roadmap, we genuinely are planning to buy more RVs to reestablish our rental fleet.
Right.
Like that is on the roadmap, and their deal was good.
Yeah.
And but like now I have this kind of like, well, now I've had this interaction, but with talking to him, at the end of it, he was like, well, hey, I think what we need to do is figure out how to safely have an inspector come on the lot. And I'm like, sweet, yes, that is it. So like if everybody understands what the rules are, then there's no
And
conflict.
the expectation. Yeah.
If everybody understands the expectation, he told me he's like been working on this policy to like govern how they're going to interact with RV inspectors and what.
Hopefully not like that.
Right, not like that, but like hopefully have some insurance, like requirements, all that stuff. And I was like, he was like, would you help me? I was like, yeah, I'll help 100%. I was like, I'll loop you in with the leadership in NRVTA if you want. That way you can talk to the school. Like it's not. I'm not the enemy.
This is when I walked up with, or I sent Nolan with a business
Business
card.
card, yeah.
I
This
thought
is
it
it.
was good timing.
I took his business card. I've since reached out to him. We haven't heard back. But,
Stay tuned for an update.
yeah, that was just, it was a week ago today. I
Yeah.
reached out. And so I'm not hopeful, but it was so hostile. And his concerns were like kind of came from like a space of not fully understanding what it is. And I'm certain that he's had bad interactions with
Yeah.
people who say they're RV inspectors, because not everybody legitimately is. But, it's like, hey, well, the school is producing more inspectors
Right.
every couple of months. And the internet is clear that they like what we're doing. So it's like we just let's figure out a way to make it work. And as much as we talk about dealerships on the internet and whatever else, at this point most of them are pretty cool.
Yes.
Most of them are pretty easy to work with.
I can't really remember the last time we were given a hard time. Everyone has been genuinely very easy to work with.
Over about the last 6 to 8 months,
Yeah.
maybe a year, it's been.
I think the last hard one was back in May when I kind of started. And
Yes, somebody gave you. I think it was one of that consignment dealership.
Yeah,
I think
and
pushed
someone
back on
was
you.
and he pushed back, but we did the inspection. He was just a little rude, called me sweetie, and just a little condescending.
Yeah, you don't like that.
Some of that's not even about inspections, though. Some of the interactions are just people suck.
Yeah,
If we're being honest.
That's part of
Some
it.
people are just rude, and it doesn't. But all that to say is, typically lately everything's gone really smooth. Knock on wood.
And
in Illinois, honestly, no pushback.
We had no pushback.
In Illinois, those dealerships were great.
Even from
Wisconsin,
Camping World,
yes,
right? Like
yeah.
it was
It was
so
really
easy.
nice. Yeah.
Whereas still most of the time down here in San Antonio, with a couple exceptions, San Antonio is still kind of the Wild West when we talk to dealerships down
It's
there.
been better.
It's
though.
getting better.
Yeah.
Well, you've got, we're not sponsored, no free ads, but like Funtown is always easy to work with. They're in San Antonio. They're the
Right.
best. That's where we bought this. But not all of their San Antonio brethren
Right.
from the other chains are the same way. But it's been a while
It's been
since
better, though.
since we were even
Yeah.
asked to go to one down there. So it's getting better. I think back to like 2020, 2021 when we were first getting started, and every interaction was a battle. Every single one.
Yes.
Seems like it's getting a little bit easier.
That's thanks to you and all your positive,
My positive outreach.
yeah, that's what is behind fueling our social media, is trying to show you what it is that we do, why you need us, and how we're not the bad guys.
No, and what's
That's
funny
a
is
huge focus of our social media.
we had a video where I did one recently, and it was of it was a fifth wheel that had been on the lot for like a year. It was brand new, and it had suffered some lot rot because it'd been sitting there.
Right.
And just in the video, I'm like, hey, and there's video of these things that are broken. Like, oh, the tire's rotted, there's a hole in the roof, whatever else. And you can see it in the video. And what's funny is you can like kind of tell the dealer, the people, like some people took it personal. And you're like, this must be somebody that has a stake in the industry somewhere, whether they're a technician at a dealer, or maybe they're sales, or they work in Elkhart. I don't know, but like one guy was arguing like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that tire. And it's like, well, it's plainly visible. There are holes
That's
in it.
right. I remember this one.
And it's like, so we're not here we don't exaggerate our findings. They're just what
They're
they
just
are.
what it is. And we're not judging. We're just saying this is why you need an inspection. This is what's happening. Here's what you can do
And
about it.
yeah, and
It's
with a new one, the dealer's going to fix every single thing we find. Because they have to contractually from the manufacturer. They're
Right.
just going to bill whatever manufacturer it was.
Right.
So even if the wall fell out while I was inspecting it, they would have to put a new
Right.
wall in. So that kind of like doesn't matter in
Right.
that way. Used one's a little bit more dicey because they're as is, but I think slowly the
Yeah.
tide's going to turn. And something that I'm interested in is like doing some more dealer outreach,
Yeah.
like talking to dealer chains directly.
seeing.
There's the new website RV Help. I think that's their intention
Mm-hmm.
to do kind of the same thing. But that I came out of that meeting or that conversation at the dealer or RV show pretty hostile.
Yeah.
I was pretty angry after that one. It took me a few minutes to calm down.
It was hard to watch. It was definitely hard to watch. I think you handled it like a champ. I think there was no better way to handle it, and I'm grateful that it was you that had that interaction.
Imagine if like they had walked
rather
up to
than
you,
somebody
right?
else
Like,
or me.
yeah.
Oh man, I was like instantly went into like fight or flight. Like I wanted to fight. I
And-
wanted to be like, "Excuse me, who do you think you're talking to?"
Correct. And that is a problem, and I know this has occurred where maybe some other inspector has gone onto a dealer lot and not conducted themselves well.
Right.
And it's like, hey man, your mere presence. This is a message to other inspectors. Your mere presence on a dealership lot is going to create anxiety because this salesman wants to make the sale,
Right.
and you are a potential roadblock. You have to act like not a roadblock. You've got to come in and be everybody's best friend. And there's some dealers in towns we send memes, right? Like, you got to talk about the Cowboys, right?
Yes.
You have to be
Not a threat.
you have to be not threatening. And if you just, I have found, speak of law enforcement, like if you explain to somebody what going to jail is like if they've never been there before, because all they know is the movies, right? Like, so if you just explain, like, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're going to come in, we're going to sit down, they're going to take your picture, then you're going to go sit on a couch. You might have to talk to a nurse, but it's not like the movies. You're not going to see the inside of a cell. You're going to see the judge in the morning. They're going to let you out, right? If you just explain that to people, most of the time they're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not that law enforcement sending people to jail is the same as buying an RV.
I was gonna say this is a.
But like if you just talk to the dealer and you're like, hey, dude, this is what I do. I don't say something is good, bad, or indifferent. I just document the condition that it's in and I make a recommendation for its repair. And your technician should look at the same thing that I do and make the same conclusion that I do. And then in the case that I'm wrong, your dealer technician should say, well, Mike's wrong and here's why. And if you ask me about it and you present their point of view on it, I will either agree or disagree.
And that happened.
It has happened.
Not much, but it happened with a roof.
It happened, right, where they said, no, actually, this roof is patched the way that it should be, and we're good to go. And I said, okay, cool. Like, and they produced the maintenance records from it. But I don't know that at the time of inspection.
And you're not like it's not a fight.
Right.
You said, wow. Okay. Actually, at first, I think you said, "Let me look into it, and I'll get right back to you." You looked into it. You talked to the dealer. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, they produced the records, and I was like, okay, sweet.
This doesn't happen often, but like, look, when it does, it's like you're not trying to find things that don't exist.
Exactly.
You're
so,
not
right, and like all the finding in a report would say is, it is recommended this be evaluated by a qualified technician for possible repair. Their technician went up there and do it and said, well, either this patch is good or we have to replace the roof.
Right.
Right, and that's all I said was, hey, there's a patch here. It should be evaluated by a qualified technician. And then the dealer, part of the miscue was like, hey, the client told them I said they needed a new roof. And I'm like, no, that's not what I said.
Right.
I said there's a patch. It should be evaluated by a qualified technician. And then they produce, like, well, yeah, here's it was some other shop in, like, Phoenix or something. Here's the whatever their data was for it. And like, oh, okay, cool. It was done professionally. It's sealed.
Good to go.
Now you can just make a decision as a buyer whether you're willing to deal with that patch, which probably will be fine, or if you want to, buy it and take it and put a new roof on, or not buy it because of it. It's not like I'm not saying like light your hair on fire because there's a roof patch.
Well, because we don't really give our opinion.
No, we just say there is a roof patch.
I get this question a lot. A lot of people want to know if Mike can recommend whether or not they should buy that RV. And the answer is no. You can't give a recommendation.
Ever.
All you can do is show the findings, answer questions about the findings, maybe give some guidance on maybe where to go to get them fixed. It can't be us for a year. But, like, there's no opinion. It's very subjective. Objective.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very,
the opposite of that.
It's very objective.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to say. Like, we're not there to intentionally. It's not personal. I guess that's the thing. It's not personal.
We did an inspection recently where there was like tons of water damage, and our client knew there was some, and then we found some more. They were willing to buy it with that much water damage.
Yeah.
Right, and okay, right, like
that's their choice.
All we do is say that there is probable water damage, and you make the decision. Now, I only buy new RVs, and we've only ever bought new RVs because I want something that is near perfect and that I can maintain forever. This person wants to buy something that is nowhere near perfect. So if you asked Mike, hey, would you buy this RV? Well, no, because I only buy new RVs.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with the condition of that
anything.
RV.
It's just not for you.
When somebody asks, oh, would you buy this motorhome? Well, I would never buy a motorhome because it doesn't have a bedroom for my son. So, it has nothing to do with the condition of it. It has to do with everybody's
Even if it
needs.
did, though, you can't give
I would
that
not
opinion.
be able, even if they were looking to buy this exact floor plan, I would not tell them whether I would buy it in its current condition or not.
Right.
I would just say, well, here's the report. You can make your buying decision based on that. But yeah, you should never, ever, the inspector should never be telling you whether you should buy it or not.
Yes.
That is when you switch from objective to subjective. Because how do you prove that you shouldn't? No, just here's the report.
Yeah.
That's the...
I think that's important. I think people need to know that. And I think dealers need to know that.
Yes. And there is absolutely no room for... It's one of the code of ethics that you cannot oversell what you found in a report, right? Like, you have to just be objective and say this is what it is.
Right.
If you pour it on, especially if your intention is to get more inspections in the future, it's not going to work.
Right.
You should be bounced out of the Jedi Order, so to speak.
Well, I got to watch you yesterday. He was doing an inspection just a few campers down from us, and I was able to watch him inspect for just a few minutes at a time to make some content. And at one point, some of the wires were like melted or something, and you just were like, you into your phone, you were like, wires, blah blah blah, melted. Picture done. Like you just you didn't say anything. You just stated what they were.
Exactly.
Something like that.
And that's all it is. And it's hard. We talk all the time, like, we want to be out of the RV technician business. We love inspections, is what we do.
Yeah.
But like right now, for example, there's not a lot of inspections. This is the slow season for RV buyers, and we're not immune to that. As much as you see us, we're not immune to the slowdown in the industry. So we do more, typically this time of year is when we do more repairs. And
furnaces and water heaters.
And we're doing a couple of roof seals this week. And but in the summer, you barely will see us do that, right?
Air conditioning or inspections.
That's pretty much it. And it's so hard when you do both.
Yeah.
Because, and like, imagine, here's another code of ethics violation. And you mentioned it, we cannot repair the RV for a period of 1 year after the inspection. And that is 100% to keep the inspector honest about their findings, because there is no profit motive then for me in this. I just give you the report. I send you to rvhelp.com to go find a technician and or some of our local shops that we work with. Sweet, we're done. The temptation is always there to bend those rules. And it's like, okay, well, I'm an inspector, but I just won't say I'm doing an inspection today. And then I'll go out and I'll just kind of walk around and look at things, and then I'll make you an estimate.
Right.
That is a clear ethics violation. And I am a ethics purist. So, like, the code says what it says.
It's the law enforcement in you.
It is, right? The code says what it says.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, like, oh, you can interpret this, right? No. Because even, like, we are doing the inspection you mentioned, it's a seller's inspection. When we do seller's inspections, at no additional cost, we offer to take some videos and make a reel out of it, right? So there's no additional cost to them. We make no money from the sale of the RV. The only thing we've done is do an inspection, and for free, we make content that I put on social media, and then I say, if you want to buy this RV, go get with that guy.
It's sort of like the incentive they need to have an inspection.
Yes.
It's just like that's kind of what we get out of it, is we just get the inspection.
Right.
That's like, and you know what I mean? Sometimes like they need a little push to say, yes, I'll get an inspection.
And right. And then this RV that I inspected, did a seller's inspection for, you saw the report.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit to fix.
And they're probably going to ask you.
And they're exactly.
But,
and so
and I would love to say yes. I would love to.
You know, roofs are good money, but we're
not going to though.
We're not going to. And the headline though is that there's a code of ethics that say we can't profit from the sale of an RV that we inspected, right? So I'm a religious fanatic about that, because we even said, look, what if we opened a dealership and we would have inspections be a mandatory part? It's like, well, I would not do the inspection then.
So you could oversee the technician side
exactly.
of it.
I would just oversee the technician side. I would not do the inspections. I would rent bays to inspectors so that they could do their job, but I would not be involved in the inspection because I'm a purist in the code of ethics.
You are a rule follower.
And I think that every single inspector, whether you're literally doing an inspection or not, should be a purist in that space, because that's how you build trust with dealerships. When you're like, hey, these guys are little warrior monks. Yeah. They come out, they do their thing, and then they leave. Yeah. And it's professional every time.
Yeah. So we've gotten calls, it's been a little while now, where someone will say, oh, I think I need an inspection. Like my AC's not working, my water heater's not working. I think there's this on the roof. Can you come look at it all? And in those cases, we say, well, okay, I hear you. It doesn't sound like you really need an inspection. It sounds more like you just need a series of repairs. Right. So we'll do like the diagnosis fee. And then while you're there, you'll look at one of the things. We'll start with like the ACs. Right. And then when you finish the AC, you'll go take a quick look. You may not fix the other stuff, but you'll be like, let me look. Yes, it looks like that needs a repair, but it's not an inspection.
It is not an inspection.
It's the technician side of it.
Yeah, you're saying, hey, my furnace is broken, come fix it.
Right. But I guess I'm more so saying when there's like 3 or 4 things. Right. we leave it. We don't inspect 3 or 4 things.
No.
We charge for one thing at a time. We
Yes.
won't maybe do another diagnosis fee,
Right.
or maybe that's not the right fee. What the
There's a difference in scope, right? So an inspection is supposed to be, I'm coming into this blind and I'm going to find everything wrong with it, and then I'm going to tell you.
right.
When I'm a technician, when I put on, and this is why I want to get out of the business, when I put on my technician hat and I go over there and they say, hey, my furnace is broken, my air conditioner is broken, and I want to reseal. Sweet. I will fix your furnace, your air conditioner, and I'll reseal your roof.
But you're not going to go look at like other random things
I'm
and
not-
be like, oh, there's this soft patch. Or,
Now, yeah,
oh,
if I turn on a light switch to work and it doesn't work, like you can say like, oh, okay, hey, that doesn't work. Do you want me to fix it too?
yes, but
But like, yeah, I'm not gonna inspect the
I guess that's what
RV.
I was trying to say. Yeah, like you're going to look at whatever the specific individual things that they mentioned
it.
are wrong, and that's it. We're going to be a little more reasonable with the price because there's multiple things, but it's not considered an inspection.
Correct. And
Yeah.
that's, again, with the purist thing is, like, if somebody is like, hey, I'm going to sell this RV that you fixed before, will you come do an inspection? No.
Yeah.
I touched it as a technician, so I'm not going to touch it as an inspector.
Right.
Right? I'm happy to refer you to some inspectors, but I won't touch
Yeah,
it.
and again, it's not because we're not honest. We are honest. It's just unfortunately it's written to protect the client for those who unfortunately might not be. So
Right.
have so much integrity, you know. And I hate to say it, but every
Industry?
industry has its unfortunately bad apples, and the inspection industry is no different. The technician industry is no different. Just how you might call a tech to come fix your AC,
Right.
and he might make it worse and be like, "Oh, you need a new one."
Right.
Or she may say like, "Oh, yeah, this is busted. You need a new one." No, you don't.
Right.
Like, they're everywhere.
Yes. and
So
it's
it's not to say we're bad apples. We're going to be honest with you, but
Right, and that's like, I guess it's a lot of the RV inspection service just comes naturally to me as somebody who had a career in law enforcement, because it's like,
yeah,
you know, like cops are supposed to be held to a higher standard all the time, on and off duty, right? That's drilled into you at the academy. So when you see on the news, officer gets arrested for XYZ, for anybody else, yeah, you know, whatever, that's would be an issue, but because they're a police officer,
yes,
it's that much worse. And it's kind of like a lesser version of it, from my point of view, in the inspection service, right? Like the inspectors have to be held to a higher standard
yes,
than the technicians, right? All the time. They got to carry extra insurance. They need to be held to a higher standard. And the reason I say all of this is because I'm like a purist in this, and it aggravates me when
Yeah.
I hear, because like I've heard that some people will go out and be like, well, this is not really an inspection, so I won't do the report. There's no contracts and stuff, and it only takes like 2 hours. Well, then you're setting you and the client up for failure,
Right.
because there's no contract to govern your relationship. There's no standards of inspection. That person has no recourse if you miss something.
right,
So, you know, it's the standards of practice say what they say. If we all just agreed to that in the code of ethics, and we could transmit that to dealerships like this goofball from that dealership, oh, okay, that's how they work, and then it would be done.
yes.
That would go a long way.
We definitely need to get a little more uniformity where all inspectors are sort of created equal. I know that's the intention behind the training in the school, like, but unfortunately in practice it's not always that way.
It's like it ebbs away,
Yeah.
right? So like
It's like they hear it, they learn it, but then they're off on their own and they forget, like, no,
right. You know the
there's standards you have to follow. There's protocol for a reason. There's,
Right.
You know,
you know, and you hear like maybe an inspector brings in a helper to do part of the
Yes.
inspection, and it's like, well, you know, does that person have any training? Like, oh, well, all they do is evaluate the inside. Cool. So you didn't.
Yeah.
You're the inspector. You didn't evaluate it. You had a helper come
Yeah.
do it, and it's like, I understand the profit motive behind it, but if they're not an inspector, in my view, they should not be helping during an inspection.
Right.
I think that's bad.
And that's why I added that when I came to visit you, is because you were a few down. I was making content and I left. Like, it was like I didn't want any liability. I didn't want to get in the way. I was just there to make some videos and then leave.
Right.
Yeah, but like the ones where they're actually trying to help. Like,
Yeah.
what? Can you imagine me coming?
Right.
No.
And there's husband-wife teams
That's
that,
different.
where they're both inspectors.
That's totally
And
different.
then as long as everybody's cool with it, like if it were us, it'd be like, all right, well, I do the outside, she does the
If
inside.
I was a certified inspector, like I'm not though, and so
Yeah.
I'm not going to be there to touch the RV. I did not touch it at all.
I would not
yesterday.
even let you, and you're capable of this, but like a lot of
Yeah.
the inspection is just like recording serial numbers and stuff. I would not even want you to
No.
do that because it's still as a guy who's written police reports, right? Like, I used to hate it when some another police officer, would come onto my scene and start asking questions.
Right.
Like, "Hey, dude, your job is to stand over there and look menacing
Yeah.
and and keep everybody in line while I conduct the investigation. And the only things I
Yeah.
want you to do is if I specifically tell you to do them."
Yeah.
It used to make me crazy. Like, whoa, why are you questioning my suspect, dude? And the same is true here. So,
Yeah.
all that to say that, it's a good product. There is room for improvement. I do understand some of the dealership's apprehension.
Yes.
And all of this is irrelevant when you consider, like, there's no regulation. That guy over there could say he's an RV inspector today. And there's a dude in Austin who does that. He's not an inspector. I don't even know that he's an actual tech. But he says he is.
Yeah.
And he's selling that product. And there's no recourse to
Yeah.
stop that. So that person is out here too, making it more challenging for both
Right.
the dealership and for us.
Right. So I guess what do we want to tell the dealers if there's a dealership listening?
The first and most important thing you can do, and today is January 13th, so this is it plays into the answer to your question. You want to make sure that they're actually certified by the National RV Inspectors Association. They are the only ones that make RV inspectors. It's confusing because the RV Technical Institute in Elkhart, which is the dealership technician training, a step 1 in their training is a 40-hour online program where they call you a PDI technician, a pre-delivery inspector technician. They are not the same. So what they do at the National RV Training Academy is make an inspector. That's an in-person class. You get graded. There are tests. You've demonstrated proficiency. The other one is just like, hey, welcome to the industry. Take this class online.
And that's great. That's a good start.
I have no objection to it.
We've talked about taking it.
I'm going to take it
Yes.
so that I have both. But
okay.
it's different. So if you're a dealership, you want to make sure that they are certified by the National RV Inspectors Association, that they have insurance, at least liability insurance, in case there's any damage that occurs while they're there. We have it. We've never used it, but it exists.
I've sent it to multiple dealers
Right.
who have asked me to send it.
We give you a little packet.
No problem.
The reason I mentioned the date is today is January 13th, and I would have told you to go to the RV Inspector website to verify their credentials. That will be going away probably by the time I release this podcast. It's being replaced with RV Help, which is a private company, but they're going to manage the locators. If an inspector is on that website as an inspector, then they are certified. And you can see their reviews and their certification status and all that stuff there. So if you're a dealer and somebody says, hey, this dude Mike Murphy's coming in to inspect my RV, you should go to rvhelp.com, type in, Buda, Texas area RV inspectors. I will be on there, a list with others, and then you can see my info there. And if that person's info is there, that's at least the first step. That would be and then if there is some question of ethics or integrity, if there's a problem, you can talk to the association about it, and there is some recourse there. Because
Some accountability.
Yeah, just like I didn't want cops who shouldn't be cops to be cops, I don't want inspectors who shouldn't be inspectors to be inspectors.
Agreed.
That's my thing, and if you just aim for that bar, and I know they've taken action before.
Excellent.
They have taken action against certain inspectors before, but
The fight must continue.
it will go on. Speaking of fights, we were having a conversation. So this is the first time we've ever done this, and it's weird that I still see myself as like this, like we're not millionaires, right?
Oh my gosh, not even.
No, and at all, not even close. Like this last month, I was like we barely made any money at all because it's
So
Christmas
slow,
season,
yeah.
so slow. And but we were talking about a lot of businesses start and then they kind of collapse,
Right.
or they go away, or they become a side hustle, or maybe
Like it doesn't go fast enough.
Right.
For the business owners.
what they envisioned.
Yes.
And so we had someone that just graduated from the trade school reach out to us and be like, hey, I don't know how to market. Can you help me market my new business? And they're brand new and they're starting this business. And that's not the intent at the training academy. There is some business creation support there, but their job is to make you a technician.
Right.
And so and obviously we do very well. We're marketing right now, right? So we do well in our marketing. So we reached out. We had like a video call for like an hour, and I just made some best practice suggestions. And over the next couple of days, I watched him do every single one of those things. He updated his Facebook with their location. He changed his website. And he's running a
Nice.
Google ad, right? And
That's awesome.
right, and it's gonna take a minute, but
But he started.
he started, and his comment to me was, "This is my life now. I'm all in. Help me do what I need to do." And that is the most important thing if you're getting started in this or any other business.
Is being all in.
Right. Even if it's a side hustle, which that's where we started.
That is absolutely where we started.
Even if it's a side hustle, right? And I get it because you got bills to pay,
Yes.
but like you have to, if you want to be successful, you have to take every available minute that you have and pour it into your business.
Yes. And you can't quit when it's not making as much progress or growth as you would like.
That's when you have to lean into it.
Yes. Like, so for example, last week was a little bit slow, which is fine. Again,
Super slow.
like Mike said, it's the slow time of the year. And so it's expected. And it would have been easy just to say, wow, we're taking a week off. We're not doing anything. And while there was time for chill a little bit, like, what did you do? What did you spend the week doing?
Boy, we did
Marketing.
We made reels, we made posts on Facebook. We
tweaked-
talked to the leadership at RV Help,
You
right?
tweaked the website.
We tweaked the website. We had meetings with the we have a company that handles our Google ads and our search engine stuff. So
you
we
were
had-
able to be on
I was
those
able to be on the
meetings.
meetings. And it's you have to, I'm not saying you can never ever rest, but you have to pour
Yes.
100% of your effort into your business all the time. And if you're not actually out turning wrenches today, cool, then you have to be doing something in furtherance of your business goals.
Right.
And like sometimes you feel like you're just spinning your wheels because you don't know what to do.
Right.
And it's like, okay, cool. Even if you just, like in this industry, even if you just go on to Lippert Academy and you watch a couple of videos, take a couple of their online courses, just
Yeah.
sweet. You've done something in furtherance of your
Yes.
business. But what we see a lot is, and this also is to the dealer's defense. So I'm not unsympathetic to their point of view.
No, for sure.
But, you know, if you get some people that come into the industry and they're people that, you know, are not going to make it, and maybe their intention is not to make it, but when you talk to them about it, you know, if you ask us, hey, why did you get into this business? And I would say, it's because I'm passionate about it. I think it can change the industry and I want to be a part of it. I think I can make things better. That's why I'm here, right? If the answer is, well, I really wanted to supplement my fixed income, that's the only reason. Like, okay, cool. How many hours a week do you put into your job? Oh, well, I do one inspection every 2 weeks and, you know, that's it. Like, okay, well, they're never going to be successful. And they're never going to have the same product that someone who is all in will do.
Right.
And we talk about that like when people call us, like, hey, what makes you different than other inspectors? We're all in. This is
Yeah.
what we do.
We
Mike
are-
does it professionally.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you can't do it as a side hustle, but you have to conduct yourself like it's not a side hustle. Like
Right.
this is your career, regardless of what it is. Otherwise, you're gonna upset clients that don't know any better, and they hired you because they didn't find anyone else. You're gonna upset clients. You're gonna torch dealership relationships, and you're gonna make it harder.
Right.
So my advice would be, even if you're somebody who only wants to do 2 inspections a month or a couple of service calls a month, you have to act like this is your life
Yeah.
all the time. And you should be putting the time into it when you're offline. We've seen that a bunch.
Yeah. And this is any industry, I guess, right? Like
Yes.
I have experience with other people in my community or just in my bubble that when things don't progress as fast as they would like, they'd either just call it quits or they change paths and they try something different. It's like, no, you stick with it. Like if this is what you're passionate about, this is what you need and want to be successful at, then we're not going to give up. Like,
Right.
you know, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep doing it. And like,
You're making tweaks all the
oh, I
time.
thought you were telling me
No,
I was
no,
doing
no, no, no.
something. I was like, sorry.
No, as a business owner, you
Constantly.
should be making. You can't just make gut decisions and run with them. You should be making tweaks all the time,
Yeah.
and they should be deliberate. Like we were talking, and to give you kind of, we're going to get really granular. Like we were talking yesterday, historically we've only offered one level of inspection, just the premier full tilt inspection. And we've been talking about like, well, hey, what if we had like a lesser tier of inspection, and that's sanctioned by the association. We've never offered it or seldom offered it. And but like, what if we had a lesser one, and then if somebody calls us and is maybe more price conscious, we can do that. And you know, we've talked about it before, and it's always this time of year when we talk about
Right.
it because we're slow. And
Yeah.
then, you know, it's like, well, you know, do we want to do that, or do we want to do some more repairs? And if the intention is to get out of the repair business, where we and so you're having this conversation where you're trying to figure
Constantly.
out what the dial is, because then in the summer for us, there's no point in offering the lesser version of inspection because nobody asks.
Right.
This time of year, things are it's a little bit more choosy, but if you have to at least be introspective
Yeah.
all the time when you're doing this stuff. And if you're not, if you're treating it, if you're getting frustrated because you want this to be your life, but you're putting time into it like it's only a side hustle or a hobby, you're never going to be successful.
Right.
Just not going to happen. And that's going to go, you're going to be torqued out of shape, because then you're so excited. You get a call, you go do an inspection, right? And then something goes wrong. And what happens? Or you can't take that inspection, right? You're like, oh, I just lost $1,000, and it's like devastating to you.
Yes.
And it's not a good place to be in. So
Right.
all of this to say, to kind of like put a little bow on it, like my view is that you've got to be professional. You've got to be all in, so that we don't have dealers and we don't have clients feeling like that person who cornered us at the RV show.
I love it.
That's where I'm at on that.
All right. I think that's a good note to end.
I still have
That part
I
on?
still have 9 minutes, Elizabeth.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, Mike, we could end on our highs for the last little while. Does that
Yeah.
sound reasonable? I have one.
With my remaining 8.5 minutes.
I have two highs. One is purchasing and moving into this Brinkley. Life changing.
This has been a complete life changer.
Life changing. We're not sponsored in
We're
any
not
way, shape, or
sponsored.
form. We thought we were happy in our other one. You heard us say that we had no interest in upgrading. We were content to stay put. And then some things kind of progressed and some deals were made that like just a lot of things kind of fell into place. And it was like if we didn't jump on it, that would have probably been gone, not on
Right.
the table. Is that a good way to put
Yeah.
it? Like it was sort of like we had to jump on it, and we did, and I'm so glad we did.
Yes.
It's been life changing. The space in the kitchen to work, and all of us can be in here at one time doing separate things.
Yeah, because I use this counter as like my standing desk. Our son can be here doing whatever he's doing. You can be on the couch like watching TV. Like
Yes, because I lay on the couch so much.
yeah, you don't do anything worthwhile. But like even like the other day, he was here on his tablet.
Yeah.
You know, or I'm on the couch, right? But like I was working here, you know, you were working here,
Yeah.
and he was sitting here on his tablet, and then you know, like he was done, he went to play outside, and then like I was still working. You had a phone call to me. We weren't like
It's
on
incredible.
each other's space. So and then he has his own room again.
Which is where he's at right now, and he knows he needs to hang out in there for a little while and play or chill on his
For
tablet.
7 more minutes, and
But it's just amazing. Like it's not that much bigger than our other travel trailer. It's about 5 feet and a little bit wider.
the only reason it's
but
wider is because there's opposing
It's
slides.
just like the setup is incredible.
Yeah.
It's just been life changing, truly. Like I thought I was happy before, and I think I was, but this is like we don't need anything else. We're
Right,
good. We
yeah.
don't need any more space. We don't need any more storage. The brightness we were saying as we were setting up
This is there's no auxiliary lighting. This is just the lighting that is in
incredible.
here. It's great.
Well, I mean that's not totally true. There are some lights on.
No, but I mean like we didn't like bring in studio lighting. Like
Oh.
this is just the RV.
Oh, I was like, yeah, but it's just been incredible.
Yeah.
So would you say that's your high as well?
It
or
is
do you
a
have
high for
different one?
me. I would say for me, the thing that was it was a surprise. We mentioned it. There's the RV Help folks, which
Mm-hmm.
are launching their new website. I met with their leadership. That was a real high for me.
That's pretty cool.
because yeah, and you know I'm not going to spill the beans too much on the conversation, but we had a great chat. Us and the leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and what was cool about it was that they said that one of their goals is to, and if I wasn't clear, you can find a technician inspector. Everybody on there is certified, in-person verified, but and we're not sponsored by them. but they were like, hey, one of our goals is to increase the awareness of the RV inspection service. And I have felt kind of alone in that. Not that I'm literally alone, but I have felt kind of like I'm screaming on the mountaintop.
Your message of
Exactly. And so when they said that, I was like, yes.
finally.
I was like, finally, we have an ally that is willing to work at scale to bring awareness to this organization and to this service that we provide. That was, I mean, I felt like, I was like, I have an ally.
Yeah.
Like,
Someone's on our team.
Sweet deal.
Yeah.
First, again, we're
I
not
agree.
sponsored. We don't have an official partnership. It was just wonderful to hear them say that. And they have the resources now because they're a business. They've invested money into it. Their job is to help us make more inspections. So that was a huge high for me.
Yeah.
I'm still coming down from that high.
Well, my final one is that I started making my own reels.
You did.
And this is not like either like a broadcast for my reels. I'm just saying I'm really proud of myself because I didn't think it was something that I was going to be able to figure out. I just don't always give myself a lot of credit, and there's a lot of like technical stuff that goes into making reels, like if done correctly and right. And I like played around with it. I asked Mike for help. He gave me some guidance. I'm still very, very much learning, but it was really cool that the last reel was basically all me, aside from like a little bit of like verbal help.
Yeah.
Like,
you had a couple of technical bugs to work out.
I put the videos together. I did the voiceover once Mike showed me how. I did the captions and the music. It was just really cool feeling that I was able to put something out there. I don't know how far this will go or if I'll do it forever, but for now I'm just trying to contribute to the social media in the way I know how, and it's just kind of cool that I have learned a new skill, and I'm just proud of myself for that.
I'm very proud of you for it. I was so excited to post it. I shared it on my personal social media.
You did, and I appreciate it. And again, maybe they won't go anywhere. There might not be any interest in mine, but it's just cool that I
would love it
was able to figure it out.
If we were able to launch like a separate channel for that. I mean, I always think big.
I
so
know.
I'm like, oh yeah, we need to have a
And
completely separate channel just for you.
I just don't know if, we'll see.
I believe that you could do it.
Thanks.
Because you got a lot of, spoiler, you're working on a homeschooling one right now, and your career was in education.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of really insightful things to say about that. I'm like, and I watched you today working with Nolan. I'm like, oh my God, this lady, like, she really knows what she's doing. She must have been a good teacher.
I don't know about that.
And it was really cool. So I think people are gonna really like that. What was your low for the last week or so?
That probably awkward inspection call that I had the other day where you were listening. I get nervous when Mike's listening. I know he's not necessarily judging, but when you're sitting next to what I perceive to be the best at what he does and the salesperson he is.
I am a good salesman.
When I'm trying to do my sales pitch, like I'm confident if I'm by myself walking around doing my thing, but when he's listening, it's sort of...
And I was in here.
I just wasn't at my best. And,
I was in the kitchen. You were in the other room.
Yeah, it was just really uncomfortable. She had mentioned something about another inspector quoting her less, and I just fumbled on my words, and it was just really awkward. I don't think I said anything wrong. It was very uncomfortable. I knew it didn't sound good. She probably knew it didn't sound good. And then I think the worst part was that he heard me, and like he would never ever insult me or say anything, but I went to him and I was like, oh, that wasn't great.
That didn't feel good, did
and
it?
Yeah, you said something quippy, and it's fine. It's just not a good feeling when you don't do something well.
No,
I
and
know I'm human, and so of course, no, I'm not always going to do the perfect sales pitch. Nobody does.
Right.
Just uncomfortable.
And I think that's important.
And we didn't get that inspection.
We didn't get that inspection. That's two we didn't get this week.
Not necessarily both
Right.
from me.
But like that's something I think is important because like I think a lot of people see us like when they're getting started and they must think that the inspection just sell themselves.
They do not.
They
Let
do
me
not.
tell you, I have had to really, really work at my sales pitch, and it does not come naturally. And
Right.
while I believe now in what I say, that helps. Man, it's still tricky if you're not completely focused, or you're just having an off day, or
Yeah.
sometimes I just get in my own head when I think he's listening, and yeah,
It's hard.
it's
and
really hard.
That's one of these things that like particularly inspectors, we were talking about like having to be all in all the time. You got to work on your sales.
Yeah.
Like if people don't really know what an inspection, people listening to this do because they're followers.
Right. But not
like
everyone
most
does.
people don't really know. And they're like, oh, it's probably gonna be like $300, right? He'll be there for an hour. Remember that was the last seller that we.
Yeah.
He was like, "What are you gonna be there for 6 hours for?" He's like, "Are you nuts?"
Yeah, and I had to call him and be like, "Hey, like,
And so
I hear you. It sounds a little dramatic."
you do have to be good at sales and
Yeah.
or you have to work on sales.
And
I read a sales book and that changed my perspective on it. Maybe I should.
Well, you've given me the Cliff Notes version of it. While I fully accept that maybe I need to read it myself, but it's not easy. It's really not, and I think that's what we should end on, is talking about how we're not giving up. Like, it's hard. There's been a lot of uncomfortable moments over the last few years. Me in particular, the last 6 months, a lot of learning by failing.
Right.
And like we're not going to give up. We're just going to keep doing what we do over
Right.
and over again until we're as successful as we want to be.
Right. We have kind of a goal, and we have a number of inspections we want to do this year,
And we're going to get there.
and we're already behind.
Yeah.
So
13 days in.
yeah, we're already 2 inspections behind pace.
But it's okay.
It's okay.
We're not giving up.
We're not going to give up. It's you're gonna be fine, and that's the other message to other business owners is
Don't give up.
you cannot give up. Tweak, make adjustments,
Yes.
keep moving forward.
One foot in front of the other. Have your awkward moments. Have your failures. And then regroup and do it again.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I got another call right after that one.
Right.
And I was like, okay, let's try this one. And it was fine. It went well.
It was
but
fine.
like, just know it's okay to not
You guys just be
always be successful.
Ted Lasso says you gotta be a goldfish and just move on, right?
Yeah. It's hard though. I want to make sure everyone knows, like, it's hard. It's tough doing what we're doing, but it helps that we're doing it together. And I know that was something you expressed in the early days, how hard it was to do it alone.
It was
and
much
now I
harder.
understand what you mean by alone. Like, I was there physically next to you, but
Right.
you were carrying the emotional and burden of it all.
I was the only one who was all in.
And now we're both all in, and so now we share the highs together, and we also share the lows together. So,
That happens.
But we're gonna keep pushing forward. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing, and see what happens.
Well, I think that is it.
Oh, now
for-
it's an okay time to
yeah,
wrap up.
We're actually a minute over time. So I haven't. We're actually going to release this one. There's going to be some out of order weirdness. So this one's going to come out first.
Okay.
And then I have an episode with Brian Carbonell from he's the inspector teacher. That one is almost 2 hours. Actually, it might be a
jeez.
little over 2 hours because you weren't there to stop me.
Yeah, that's
We'll
fair.
chat all day. So that's how that's going to come
You're
out.
welcome to our listeners.
It's actually a really good one.
No,
he
I
had a lot.
believe
He had a
you. I
lot of
believe
really
you.
cool stuff to say. But it is my intent to. We're gonna record these weekly, and my goal is to try and start looping in some more.
guests.
I prefer in-person guests. So if you have a guest in mind that we should come on there, I would love it if you tagged them. We'd love to have them on here.
Yeah.
That's my intent. RV Help People, I brought you up 3 times for free. You better come on our podcast.
Yeah. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. Do it all for us,
Yeah.
please.
And join the Cozy Camper community.
Yes,
oh
on
my God, I
Facebook.
can't believe we almost forgot.
Ah.
We launched the Cozy Camper community on Facebook. And it's a way to talk more directly with us. And we are going to have online webinars coming up where we're going to do the RV 101. We're going to talk about appliances and all this other stuff. I'm writing the courses right now. And the first one will be free for group members. So the RV 101 that we put out will be free if you're a member of the Cozy Camper community. There'll be a discount code, 100% free. And then all subsequent courses will be discounted for members
Of
of the
group.
community. It is a free benefit.
Yes.
I'm going to load the files page with our repair
Resources.
repair manuals and other resources. So join that. We'll put a link in the description. Please do share, and follow
Yes.
all of it.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.